Today we are gathered to celebrate the graduation of Class 19-004. For the past 3 weeks, these NCOs have learned leadership to include counseling, coaching, leading, and mentoring, Army writing, critical thinking, and problem solving. All of this culminates to prepare them to solve problems in the complex world in which they recruit, with their respective recruiting and retention battalions. At this time, it is with great pleasure to introduce the National Guard Bureau Strength Maintenance Training Division Sergeant Major, Sir Major Thomas Martin. Sergeant Major Martin joined the Army National Guard, he enlisted in the U.S. Army in April of 1996 as a field artillery fire direction specialist and graduated advanced individual training in Fort Sill in Oklahoma. Sergeant Major has served more than 22 years in numerous units throughout his career. His military education includes air assault, the Army Basic Instructor Course, Army National Guard Liaison Course, Master Resiliency Training Course, Transition NCO Course, and multiple levels of non-commissioned officer professional military education. Sergeant Major Martin is married to the former Dania Clausen, and they have 2 children. Ladies and gentlemen, Sergeant Major Martin.
Thank you. So I'd like to begin by thanking the command and staff of the Strength Maintenance Training Center for the invitation and all of those in attendance today for the honor of being able to be here this morning. In the age of social media and knowing that this digital recording will inevitably live on forever, speaking at these events can be dangerous, especially for old soldiers. So keep that in mind as you go forward in your careers. So let me start by saying congratulations to each and every one. The successful completion of the Senior Leader course, there's a lot of value in the institutional training and information that you've been presented over the past weeks. But as our invocation pointed out, there's also tremendous value in the relationships and in the camaraderie that each of you are building with your peers. So listen to each other, learn from each other, those best practices, and understanding that with each challenge you face, there's always an opportunity to improve yourself and the soldiers around you. And that's really where the development of senior leaders comes from. But don't get me wrong, the completion of this course does not make any of us a senior leader any more than completing SQI-4 major recruiter. Okay? So we know that the real test is going to come when you get back to your states. Your area, your team, the training here is essentially designed to prepare you to be eligible for promotion under STEP, right? Good old select, train, educate, and promote. So we're all looking forward to that. And how many of you here are looking forward to being promoted at some point in your future careers? Everybody, right? Yeah, we should be. All right. It's amazing because all NCOs should strive to advance in their profession. But the question I need you to ask yourself and those around you is who? Who stands to benefit the most from you being promoted? And who stands to lose the most from being promoted? It sounds really counterproductive, right? But think about that. Who stands to gain the most and who stands to lose the most? A lot of people think, well, me, my family, all these things stand to gain. But I need you to think about that. And if those 2 answers, if the answer to those 2 questions is different, then I'm going to help you recalibrate your inner compass, because the answer to both of those questions, who stands to gain the most and who stands to lose the most, are the soldiers that you're responsible for. Period. For the rest of your career, take an inherent look at yourself in the mirror and know that you're responsible for those around you and the soldiers in your care. That's who. That's who this is for. So I sincerely hope that each of you has had an outstanding leader throughout your career, somebody, a mentor that you've learned from, dedicated, technical, proficient stewards of the strength maintenance profession. But I also recognize that some of you, maybe many of you, have had moments where you've questioned the motives or the intentions of your leaders. I think we can all share in that sentiment for just a second. There may have been times when you felt unfairly treated, whether it was in reward and recognition or in punishment. And right now you're probably thinking, this guy's just sitting up here rattling off keywords from the NCO Creed. You're right. You're right. The undeniable truth here is that each of you is moving forward to be a senior leader in the field. Some of you are going to come up and be the Strength Maintenance Division Sergeant Major someday. Some of you are going to be the Strength Maintenance Training Center Sergeant Major someday. You you are the future leaders. And undeniably, you're going to be judged by your peers and subordinates as you go forward. The reality is that while we practice, we can all practice rote memorization, right? Memorize regs and memorize creeds and be able to provide the technical and tactical, details of our roles and responsibilities. Every one of us is charged with those two basic responsibilities. The accomplishment of the mission, which you're never going to stop hearing about in recruiting, ever. All right? And the welfare of your soldiers. And it's usually that second one, that second little plug there, where we start to think outside ourselves and we focus a little bit much on the first one. So at this point, I should probably include a really good plug for the Title 10 program and the opportunity to focus you outside your state. But I thought a little better of that, and instead I'm going to tell you a really brief story. So there was a young staff sergeant on his second deployment, and most of his squad, they were on the first rotation. This young staff sergeant felt very, very sure of himself and his technical and tactical expertise. The operational environment was tactical in nature, and he felt that this provided him an opportunity to mentor and develop his team. During pre-mobilization training, he added additional training scenarios, instituted round-the-clock drills, and strategic tasks. And after 5 days of nonstop training, his squad was the only one in the company that was still rehearsing, conducting battle drills, and drilling operational environment TTPs. So on the 6th day, 2 of the team leaders came up and asked why this squad wasn't getting the same weekend liberty as all the other squads in the company. So initially, the young staff sergeant thought, well, this is clearly mutinous or insubordinate. But after really listening to those other leaders, to those young sergeants, quickly realized that the squad trusted him. But if he continued to push and to exclude the team from fair recreational time, that trust is going to be eroded. So he abruptly halted the exercise, requested a 3-day pass from the commander, which was granted, and in doing so, maintained the trust and the integrity of his team for the duration. But more importantly, there was a very, very valuable lesson learned through that scenario. And the moral is this: never think so much of yourself or remain so focused on a singular mission that you forget those around you, the ones who will help you achieve that mission. Trust is something you can't afford to lose. So that's my quick moral. So as you go forward, I'd like to challenge each of you to live with those discernible qualities of leadership, the core competencies, the attributes, ADD, success, ARP, good stuff. Live it out, but you have to live those things, right, throughout your career. And always, at all times, present yourself in such a way that you are a leader who others can trust. In the words of, do I have any New York Guardsmen in here? Any New Yorkers? All right. So in the words of the famous New York National Guardsman and former President Teddy Roosevelt, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. So SLC Class 19004, congratulations. And remember, don't just be sergeants, be leaders. Cool?
Cool. Sergeant Major, thank you for those words of inspiration. They were